Olivia, I've just gone live because maybe some people might be waiting, but I'll tell them if I see anyone coming in, I'll just say that we are waiting few minutes to start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on essential data modeling skills for business analysts. My name is Ellen Mishra. I'm principal trainer and business analyst at Adaptive US. I have been teaching business analysis courses for a very long time. And this topic happens to be very close to my heart because data has become so much more important over a period of time. And it's important for us to understand how to model data as business analysts. So let's begin. And as we begin, let me congratulate all of you for joining us today. And every learning event is an event to make ourselves better and our contributions higher and also build a superior BA career for ourselves. So I'm glad that all of you are here today. And we already have more than 85 participants joining at this time. And I believe it will definitely cross 150 in next few minutes time, which is an amazing participation from various BAs around the globe. But let me ask you one simple question about where are you joining from? So let me see if the app works and I'll test it out. So the agenda is very simple. It's mainly to understand data models and how they correlate with each other. So that's something interesting because often people think models as almost um, independent of each other, which is not true. Models do support each other. And then I will also take you a few minutes of your time in discussing about how adaptive US helps you build a better career. And at the end, I would be happy to take any of your questions. I was supposed to join by my colleague Olivia Hampton, but she has some technical issues, so she's trying to figure it out at her end. In case she is able to join, very good. Then I think she will take over the session. If she isn't able to join, I would run the session myself. So we generally keep two trainers always available for any call because never know something happens. Technology is not something that's completely under our control. Okay, let's see this one if it comes up. Okay, so this is again an interesting announcement for all of you. At the end of the training, we are going to share a discount code with you, and that will let you get $40 worth of additional access period for all our live training sessions, which you can ask for. So let's see where are you joining from, and let me see if this one gives you an access to that. Okay, sorry. Yeah. No, I think this is something I have to share my screen. Maybe I'll share my screen, and in that you can. So I'll just go to window and I will do a presentation. Just give me a second. I think this tool works only on the PowerPoint mode. So I will go ahead and get the PowerPoint for you. Oops, sorry. This is 2023 marketing webinars. Just give me a second. Let me see if you are able to view the screen now. Okay. Okay. Ah, sorry. I think I have to put it in slideshow mode or something. Just give me a second. Yes. Okay. So if you are having your smartphone in front of you, you can just scan the QR code and then it will capture where are you joining from. So we have someone from Bangalore. Let's see if we are able to capture a bit more on this tool because this is a new tool that I want to experiment, something called Slido, and it helps us to build much better interactivity with our students. So just wait for a second. Maybe you will see the scan code coming in front of you. Okay, I think maybe I have to go back. Uh, yes. And let me stop my this one because this is what is I think being visible. And let me share my screen window. This one, share. Okay. And this one, let me put it in slideshow mode. Just takes a few seconds. Request your patience. So now I think you should be able to see the icon in front of you. Let me see. Ah, somehow it's not coming up. Okay. Oh, we have somebody from Ghana. Very nice. Somebody from Montana. Then, now the app is live with you, so you can try the app. So let's see how the app changes at my end. So somebody from Ottawa. Great. Wow. UK, Barbados. Sorry, there's somebody calling up on Skype. Let me turn off Skype. Wow, this is working. We seem to be having a good number of people from Canada. That's a very interesting thing. Yeah, IIB is located in Canada, so obviously they have um, great support in Canada. Not bad. I think maybe just 30 seconds more, and then wow, this actually worked. So we have someone from Bucharest, Romania, Kuala Lumpur, Dubai. Yeah, it's a pretty diverse audience, which is what I was expecting. And we have more than 150 students already joined. That's a great thing. Okay, so let me go ahead and go to the next slide, and let's see what do we see. Okay, so I'm going to test your intelligence a little bit. We all are business analysts, so obviously we should be able to find problems very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Oh, I'm still getting the responses. I will stop that response and I will go to this particular image. And I'm going to show you a simple house plan, like any other house you can think of. So this is actually something that I experienced in my life, and that's what I'm going to show you in this house plan. Okay. I think the previous one is still live. Okay, maybe. Okay. So you see something? Okay. So in front of you, you have a house plan where you have few bedrooms, you have a living room, and you have a study room, you have one kitchen and three bedrooms. So what is the problem that you see in the design of the house? Think for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and then let me know. So this was an actual house. It's not something I made up of. Okay, so if you observe, when the house was designed, somehow somebody forgot to give independent access to bedroom 2. You could access bedroom 2, but you have to go through bedroom 3 and study room and then get into bedroom 2. So now, suppose there's a fire in the house and people in bedroom 3, and there's probably nobody in the study room in the night. So people in bedroom 3 run out of the house because there's a fire in the house, and the person or someone in bedroom 2 would actually get stuck, which is not a good design. So now, if you observe this particular diagram, what we could do, because we had an image of the house or a layout of the house, we could find faults in the design. And finding faults in the design early in the life cycle of construction is very valuable. And what actually happened in the house plan is they had to break open a wall here and insert a door here. So this was an afterthought. So there was a new door which was constructed and put here, essentially giving access to this bedroom directly from the living room. But that was very expensive. Okay, so what are models? So you must have been hearing this term models very much in the BA world. So models are essentially abstract concepts, and they help us to simplify reality in a very useful manner. So, for all of you, I can take you to my birthplace, which is India, and it's a temple town called Puri. And what I'm going to do is to share my entire screen so that I can show you the uh, place where I was born. And this is the place where there is a very famous temple, which is called Puri Jagannath Temple. Some people may know this temple as well. It's actually a magnificent temple. It's a magnificent temple. If you happen to visit India anytime, you can definitely make a visit to this place. More than 1,000 years old and about 100-meter tall. Apart from the fact that it's such a tall structure, built so many years back, There's another interesting incident I would like to narrate to you. So I used to go to visit my grandmom, and I used to go to this temple as well because it's such a lovely place. So I was taking a round of the temple as a customary practice. Then I found another temple which is looking very identical to this temple, but it is only 3 feet tall. So the main temple is about 300 feet tall, and this tiny temple is only 3 feet tall. So I was very curious as a boy, and I asked the priest nearby, saying, when there is such a magnificent temple, why do you have a 3 feet tall temple? So the priest answered me saying that this was the first temple which was built, and it's actually called a model temple. Exact words he said. Then I was very surprised that even architects in those time, like more than 1,000 years back, knew about modeling. So modeling isn't something very new, although we are practicing as a subject probably 100 years in software, but architects always knew about modeling long back. And by having models, they could establish structural stability. No, without a model, it might be very difficult to understand structural stability of such a building. And you can see the magnificent work the architects did, which is why even after 1,000 years, the building is completely intact, and thousands of people visit every day to see this marvel. So let's go back to our topic, and now we are going back to our data models. So, as I said, models can be typically diagrams, they can be tables, they can be formula, or they can be physical as well. Like just the example that I gave you is an example of a physical model. So, let's go down and take a look at the top five business analysis data models. So these are the five top models which I have used in my business analysis career, and all of them are very helpful. And we are going to go through each one of them and see how each one of them support each other. And most of the diagrams that I have taken in the slides is from our BA-BOK training. And all of you, I trust, know BA-BOK. BA-BOK is Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. And that's a wonderful document for any business analyst who want to understand business analysis beginning to the end. Okay, so we start with the first diagram, which is called the entity relationship diagram, which I believe many of you might have seen in the past. This used to be kind of a cornerstone in any software development project. And in the entity relationship diagram, we put entities, as you can see here. This is entity one, entity two. Typically, an entity is essentially a data store. So every entity is storing some kind of data. And for each entity, we typically would provide a unique identifier. So suppose, for example, if I make this entity as the webinar for a minute, think this entity as webinar. And each webinar, you can give an ID, saying webinar ID, which will help us to identify the webinar, because having a unique ID is always very helpful. So I'm going to put it as webinar ID. This one I'm going to make it little bigger so that to kind of distinguish that this is the entity that I'm talking about. Okay, and then we could have a date, subject. Like today we are having a webinar on data model. So you will put various attributes. Okay, so that's what we call it as webinar. And then if you can observe on the other side, we could have participants. So we could give an ID to you as well, saying this participant is this. And typically we will identify you through your email ID, which is what we consider it as one of the unique identifiers about you. And we could have your name, location, some other details to store about you, saying where are you coming from, Those kind of details we can put here. Okay. And then we also have relationship between the entities. So for example, these are called crowfit notation. Don't worry so much about this. I will explain. And this relationship may not be the perfect one right now, because ideally a participant can join multiple webinars. It's not that one participant can join only one webinar. This is just a sample diagram taken from the above. So usually between the entity and entity one and entity two, it can be many to many. That means there can be many webinars, okay, which a participant can join, and a webinar can have many participants. Like if I look at this now, we probably have about 200 participants joining the webinar. So that's what we call it as association between entities. So these models remained very popular for a very long time, and they started declining a little bit in the middle of the 2010, 2015. But again, they have revived quite well. That's because today there are a lot of projects which are being done which are completely data oriented projects, like data warehousing projects, where this is so valuable. So don't think ER diagram is out, it's still surviving and doing very well. Then this is what is something called a crowfit notation, as you can see here. So when you see a round circle, that means it can start with 0. If you see a crowfit like 3 lines, it means many. And like that, a single line vertical means 1. So you do that. And we also could represent them in numbers, which are what I have done below, like 0 dot dot star or simply star, 0 dot dot 1, 1, 1 dot dot star. So when you say 1 dot dot star, it means you expect at least one entity to be associated with the other entity, one entity. It can be many as well. Good. So from there, the world moved to a little bit better data model, which we started calling it as class diagram. And this started happening primarily with the development of object-oriented programming approaches. And if you observe between the ER diagram and class diagram, there is a major difference where in entity relationship diagram, we had only attributes, like the webinar had name, date, duration, those kind of things. And along with those attributes, we also started adding operations. Like, for example, we could decide to, I will copy this particular thing so that I can explain it using the same subject. Okay, so now I can have a webinar class. Okay, but these are attributes which you already saw in, okay, sorry. I'm just drawing a line to distinguish between, ah, it's not that good, but leave with it. So I want a separator so that I can separate between attributes and operations. So this could be create. Okay, so you want to create a webinar, or you could say it as CRUD. So create, retrieve, update, delete. These are 4 fundamental operations usually you can do on any data or class. You can have many more, like it could be export. You want to export the data, import. Maybe you are looking at importing webinar data from some other system, can be anything. So this is how the class will look different from the entity. So in the entity, we had just this part. In the class, we have additional operations as well. So what's the benefit of doing this? The benefit of doing this is you can manage changes to any class in a significantly simpler manner. Like here, obviously, if you look at it, did we mean that we did not have a create program? We did have. It's not that the create program wasn't there, but it was maintained separately. So this was like one entity's definition, where we defined the entity, and we would actually go ahead and define operations, but the operations will be defined somewhere else. Okay, so we will have webinar operations. Okay, for a minute, don't worry so much. It's not perfect writing, and I don't have time for that. But what I'm going to do is to make it kind of look a little different, because these are not together. So they are in different ways and they're maintained separately as well. So just to give you an idea, like what I can do here is actually I can copy this entity there and put it down. So these are my attribute information, and for this I will not have this, but I will have webinar ops or operations, whatever name you want to give it, but this is maintained separately. So now making changes to any one of them, like either you are trying to make a change to the attribute or you want to make a change to the program, it's hard. So we used to create something called a matrix where we will maintain which entity data attribute is related to which program attribute. And imagine a system, a complex system, you could have 1,000 entities and you could have 10,000 programs. Okay, a large complex system like an ERP application will have thousands of entities if you just get inside and start seeing how many entities are there. And imagine a matrix maintained between 1,000 data entities and 10,000 program entities. So this is kind of solved to a great extent because of this nature, because we have started putting both programs and operations together. So obviously, it makes it a lot more sense. And of course, the class diagram has some more advanced features like inheritance and those, which makes it much more implementation friendly. Good. So from here, this is what I was trying to explain: association, multiplicity. Inheritance as a concept means there could be certain properties of a class or set of classes which can be brought up and maintained separately. Like you think of payments, and we could think of a hierarchy of payments in this way. I will just insert one payments hierarchy. Think for a minute that we want to have a payment done, and the payment can be made in different ways, like it could be cash, it could be check, it could be credit card, could be any way. So if you observe certain attributes, like say under payment we could have amount will not change whether you pay by cash, check, or credit card. But if you are paying by check, then obviously we are interested in capturing the check number. Yeah, because that's interesting. Okay. Bank, some details which we may not capture for cash. Similarly, for credit card, we may capture the number, validity, and it could also have some validation process happening at the other end. So this is what we would call it as inheritance. That means uh, the cash will inherit property of amount, check will also inherit the property of amount, credit card also will inherit the property of amount. Now, for a minute, think government puts a rule saying any transaction above $5,000 must have a user ID verified. So you cannot do a large payment without providing your identity. So in that case, we could just put the ID here and need not write it here, write it here, write it here. So that's the benefit of inheritance. Good. Then now, if you look at the way we have delved into the subject, we have started creating attributes because we are interested in understanding these attributes. And then we get into something called data dictionary. So the data dictionary essentially explains the attributes in a significant manner. So what it is doing, it is trying to kind of create the name of the attribute. What are the other names by which it may be known? Like say, for example, a customer can be known as patient, no? Because if it's a hospital, usually they will not call uh, the customer as customer. They will actually call as patient, or like client. A customer can also be called as a client. So, and then what are the permitted values for a particular attribute? Like, say, for example, when we look at country, there is a set of values that we take: United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, India. So there is a set of values that you provide for a particular attribute. What is the meaning of that attribute? And some description about that attribute. So this is what we call primitive data element. And then we could actually combine certain primitive data to create something called composite data. Like if you look at the name that I have created here, Dr. Michael Peter Johnson Jr. So it's a name created out of multiple primary data. So, so the data dictionary will start explaining all these things to us. In fact, we did one interesting experiment on this data dictionary, and this is something which is not there in BA but you will find it on internet and many other sources as well. So I wrote an article long back on this topic called extended data dictionary because I found it extremely valuable for the work that we do. So if you go and search for extended data dictionary, I don't know when I wrote it. Sometime back I wrote it. I remember it's quite a old article. And what we did is we took the standard data dictionary. You can see here, and from the standard data dictionary we added a lot of extra information about the data. So like we started adding format, minimum value, maximum value, editability, alignment, validations. And what it resulted in a sense that when the developer is building the solution, if you have provided this level of information, usually the developers don't have to make any assumption. And when we don't provide information at this level, typically developers make their own assumption. They have studied something, or the database that they're using has certain default characteristics. So when that happens, the system starts misbehaving because maybe the standard database character limit is 50. I'm just giving an example of a name field, whereas people can have names which are longer than 50 characters. So, because the developer hasn't been told about the length of the field, the developer can assume that whatever is there in the database, that's what he or she should go with. So, this is what has really resulted in a great value for us. There is a template available on our website, and you can download the extended data dictionary template and use it part of your project work. So there can be so many things, as I said, validations. Is there a desired order that you're looking for? Is there a default value that you would like to assign it to the data field? This kind of things. Then you could have some seeded values. That means the developer himself or herself adds certain values and the users can add more. Things like next control, any tooltip that you would like to give, any kind of data mapping that you would like to do between one system to another system. All that will be very helpful if you're looking at extended data dictionary. Then we come to something called data flow diagram. And again, this has become very helpful today because of the proliferation of data flowing between various systems. And this is something users also find it pretty easy to understand. It's almost similar to activity diagram, which BAs have been using for a very long time, and generally people are familiar with it. So usually a data flow diagram has external agents who either provide data to our system or receive data from the system. So when you are drawing it at the very high level, like here, you just have your system name, nothing else. In that case, it's called context diagram, just a name to remember. Okay, then you can actually drill down the data flow diagram and go to the next level in which you started storing data process, like any kind of operation that you are doing with the data, and data store. That means you are actually storing data in some kind of data store. So a data store would typically be a database management system, some table, which can be another entity by itself. Good. Let me see if this is something comes up for you. Here is one simple quiz for you. And actually, you can choose multiple options. So please choose whatever you think is correct about modeling. I'll give you about, say, 1 minute, maybe 45 seconds. Try and see. Let me try it on my phone as well, and let me see how do I see it. Just 1 second. Let me scan it on my computer. You can do the same thing, and let's see what it allows me to do. Uh, okay, done. Where do I see? Okay, got some responses back. Let me see. Yeah, it's not bad. I think some 20 of you have already responded. Let me stop at 25, and let's see how are you getting these answers correct. And it's no harm. It's not that you have to be perfect in anything, just that it's a learning process, and let's see if we are getting the concepts right. Okay. Hmm. Not bad. Okay. Okay. I think all of you said abstract information, which is very true. Can be a partial view, again, very true. See, always remember a model may represent one aspect of a system. Like when we are representing data flow, it's only showing you data flow aspect. It's not showing you the structural aspect. Hmm. Similarly, if you are creating an activity model, again, you are only showing the task view, not the hierarchy view or any other view. And remember, models are imperfect, but they are useful. That's why we create models. Okay. And the fourth option is actually incorrect. Usually, it does not represent 100% information. If you try to model something 100%, it's going to be too complex, and practically it may not be that much of value, because the amount of time that you take to create something which is 100%, it's very hard. Maybe researchers can spend years together to get something close to 100%. Even then they will not reach 100%. 100% is like a theoretical ideal state. But I'm glad most of you got most of it right, and I was expecting almost all of you to get right on first three. But I'm glad that at least this seems to be working very well. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and see next. Ah, okay, sorry. So let me take few minutes to explain what we do at Adaptive US and how we can help you in your BA career journey. So obviously, we provide formal training on business analysis, on data analytics as well. We have added good number of courses on data analytics this year. So we always had CBDA certification program. Then we added Python. We have added Power BI. We have added SQL. So the program is far more comprehensive today. And trust me, anyone who is skilled and confident is going to do well in his or her career. And you also feel good because you are able to perform at the maximum efficiency. So this is a survey that we had carried out some time back. It's a public link, and you can see within 6 months of completing our training, about 50% got a better role, 58% got a higher salary, and 91% reported higher confidence. So these are amazing results that we got for our students, and I'm sure these numbers would improve as we ourselves mature as an organization. We are not a very old organization; we are only 7 year old, and we are improving every month as we speak. So there are plenty of student stories about how they have done well post our training and post IABA certification. You can read about them, you can reach out to them. All these people most likely will have their LinkedIn profile already on the website. So you can reach out to any one of them if you're keen to talk to them. So, coming down, what we provide as an organization, we strive to provide extremely high quality content, and we are probably one of the largest BA content provider on earth. We are extremely choosy about the facilitators that we take on board. So most of our trainers are on board of certification bodies. They also have been part of writing standards such as BA BOK, PMI, PBA guide. So this is what we do. And we also provide triple guarantee on all our live training, which is guaranteed success, guaranteed to run, and guaranteed money back in case things don't go as you plan. And as we speak today, we already have crossed 1600 plus IAB certified BAs, which I believe is definitely among the top two or top three in the world, possibly top one, because others don't publish their numbers. So there are many reasons that you can study with us. And as you study with us, you can actually make yourself a much better business analyst, get much better roles, much better salary. Some of our students have got 100% salary hike within 3 months of training. So those kind of results are documented. It's not something I'm saying. You can go and listen to their videos and see what kind of results they have got. Just one sample from our student success stories, and you can read maybe 1,000 more on the website. Okay, just a quick note on the faculty members that we have. Laura was the BA BOK chairperson. I have been part of BA standards writing, which came out last year. I was also part of CCBA certification exam process. Um, Victoria happens to be a board member today. In fact, regional director is something that she relinquished last year, and this year she's chosen as a board member for IIBA. Laura is again a very accomplished BA. Tom is again a very enthusiastic data analytics professional. So this is a link that you can go ahead and take a look. So this gives you 50 CBDA mock questions. And since we talked about data, CBDA is a very appropriate certification for anybody who is looking at improving their data skills and data credibility. So please take a note of this webinar coupon code. It's ADA Web 2310, where you can actually ask for, if you're buying any new live training product, you can ask for an extra month of access. This is what we do. And thank you for joining us today. And I'll be happy to take any of your questions. Let me see if there is a way I can get to see your questions on the platform. So just give me a second. Does it show me the questions? Where are the questions here? Yeah, chat. Okay. Wow. So got a plenty of questions. Okay, let me see if I would like to take some of them. So, yeah, we are recording the session, so we will share the recording. Don't worry. Okay, then let me pick up something. Happy to meet Kruti. Okay, Kruti is my colleague, so she is also there. So these are mostly about our notifications. Where are people from? So I'm just going to quickly skip them. Okay, then, okay. Anna is saying couldn't see the scan code. I think it probably started working little later. Then, okay, again. Yeah, Susan has a very interesting comment. No bathrooms. That's a very interesting observation. I think I should include bathrooms. They were there in the house. Okay. No doors. There were doors. Yeah. Okay. Very good. It isn't to scale. That's for sure. Hmm. Okay. Bedrooms, two windows would need to be good enough to allow escape. In fact, a lot of times you should make your window good enough to escape. Okay. Okay. Good. Anna has a good question saying, does one need to be a developer to understand how to create a diagram? No. ER diagrams are very conceptual diagrams. So, and you can learn it in 30 minutes. If you just put your mind, it's not very hard. It's more of, generally, we are able to cover ER diagrams in 1 hour training, and most of our students will be able to create decent ER diagrams after they go through the training. Okay. Hey, good to see you, NS. Okay, then. Uh, Okay, the extended data dictionary link, it's there on the cloud itself. So I'm going to put it in the chat. And there is a template available on our website. So just go to our website and then search for extended data dictionary, just the name. That will be enough. Okay. Okay, Anna has another good question saying, should we give this information to the developer prior to development? Of course. See, before the developer starts developing, you should provide this information to the developer. Okay, then database design phase. Okay, then yes, I think Anna is pretty right. It can be abstract, can be partial view, imperfect, but useful. Very good. Okay. Michael has an interesting thought saying that this is more in the waterfall approach. No, okay, please don't confuse between requirements and the implementation approach. This is needed to be implemented. When you implement in which slices is up to you. Okay, so agile is primarily about slicing the requirements in a productive way so that you don't do all the requirements before you go ahead. But having this kind of clarity a little bit before is definitely going to help. Okay. So you can, of course, take a view that I will learn everything from experience. but those can be a lot more expensive as well. So, what you can learn easily, describe easily, do it through this approach. What is difficult to assume or think, that you leave it for experimentation, which is what Agile is primarily about. Okay, then let me come down. Okay, then, okay, okay, let me see. Accounting engine model for setting. This is an interesting question. I also did not get it very well. Accounting engine model for setting GL accounts. Not very sure. I am not probably competent enough. Although I did work sometime in GL and chart of accounts, but long, long back. So mostly I have forgotten those concepts. Okay. Wow. Very nice. Somebody says passed my ECBA. That was nice. Okay. We will definitely share the link. Don't worry so much. The extended data dictionary also we will share. Um, do one thing. If you are interested in any content that we shared today, I'm not very sure if we will have access to your email address. So please send a request to info @adaptiveus.com. That will be much easier for our support team to revert to you. Uh, okay. We will provide CDU for this webinar. Don't worry. All our sessions are aligned to BA Box, so absolutely no problem in giving CDUs. In fact, if you look at the techniques that we spoke, the only technique we spoke beyond BA Box is extended data dictionary. But otherwise, the remaining techniques are from BA Box. In fact, the images that I used in the presentation are from BA Box. Okay. Okay, that's a good question. Frequent changes to data models as such isn't a very great idea. So if you're changing your data model very frequently, you probably have to think a little bit. But always remember that whenever a data model is changing, you probably have to maintain a link between the reports and the data models. Somewhere you maintain that traceability so that anytime you are changing any data model, you can see what could be the impacted reports. So maintain a traceability matrix between your data model objects and the reports that you have built. Oh, good question. Somebody is saying if there are no database design diagrams in analysis documents, build it. It'll be very valuable for any developer, any maintainer of the application, because that gives them very good idea about how the application has been built. User stories will probably not get into this level of detail, so you probably have to create certain additional document. Um, it'll be a conversation document. So usually what we do is we create an additional sort document supporting any user story, so that there you can put all these details. In fact, as I speak to you, we are creating a POC for a product using generative AI and trying to see if we can generate some of these aspects using generative AI. That probably will know next month once our POC is in place. Good. So I'm glad I kind of covered through the main questions that you folks asked. If there is anything that I did not answer in the session, you're still free to write to me. My email ID is very simple. It's ln, two letters, @adaptiveus.com, and I will be happy to answer your question. At least I have the good privilege of doing this work, for more than 26 years now. Have been part of at least 50 projects in 20 different clients. So many, so much time has been spent on doing this work. So that gives me some knowledge about the subject, and because some of these systems have been live for quite some time, doing quite well. So I'm very glad that the work that I did, some of them at national level, like one of the projects that I worked for Oman, um, government of Oman, it's still live in many, many clients all across Oman. Of course, data modeling is helpful for data engineers, it's helpful for business analysts, it's helpful for data architects, it's very helpful for people who work in master data management. It's a very useful skill to have by many people. Even I would expect project managers to have some idea. I'm not saying they become designers, but at least they should understand databases, database design, little bit, because as long as you are working in a software project, having data knowledge is very, very helpful. Okay, good. So I think that's about it. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we can wind up for today. So you have 5 minutes available to you to do something else. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. And lovely for being here today. And I hope you all will stay connected with us. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if any one of you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, just search for the name Ellen Mishra. You should be able to find me. Should not be very hard. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.